Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of our podcast. I'm Gail, and I will be recording today just me. Today I would like to jump into what I call, for you ladies, being fun, fabulous, flowing in the feminine. And I do have a program that I run specifically for women in this very topic, but I thought it'd be a really cool podcast to start to jump in with you guys and really go through the 8 key components of what it actually means to be fun, fabulous, and flowing in your feminine. So what does it mean to be in your feminine? What does that involve? How do you do it? And like, how do you be? How does it feel? And really just deep dive into that so we can start to talk about the feminine state. So you can really start to understand this thing called the feminine state, which you heard Russell and I speak about on the last podcast where we talked about the masculine and feminine state. And obviously for the ladies, it's really important that you actually understand, and more importantly, that you experience and feel on a day-to-day basis what it actually means to be in your feminine state. And some of what I'll talk about whilst we're talking on the podcast today is what it means to not be in your feminine state, because I think it's important to also distinguish that as well. So I'm going to jump into the 8 key components and actually nuts down through them, and then we will, talk a bit more. Feel free to ask questions at the end as well. If you would actually like me to send you a copy of the one pager, which is a brief overview of the 8 key components of being fun, fabulous, flowing in the feminine, please drop a comment, send me a DM on Instagram at It's Infinite & Co, and I will send it through to you. So the first part of being fun, fabulous, flowing in the feminine is to breathe. Now, look, I totally get that every single day, if I said to you, like, you need to breathe, you'd be like, Gail, don't be fucking stupid. I breathe every day. Well, yes, you do. You breathe in, you breathe out. You need to breathe in order to survive. What I'm talking about here is not just breathing to survive, but actually taking a moment to breathe and feel what is going on in that beautiful body of yours. Because different to the masculine state, the feminine state is all about feeling and experiencing and feeling what's going on in our body. So if you're listening to this and you're like, okay, Gail, but I'm totally a thinker, I'm all up in my head all the time, everything's always going on in this big beautiful brain of mine, and I very rarely spend time in my body, this is your warning sign that, hello, it's really important to start to breathe out of your head and go down into your body. And I'm going to reference a few things on this overview page as we go through. So if you are watching the video, you'll see me jump in just to make sure that I do cover what I need to in each section and don't actually go rogue, which if you get to know me, you'll know that I totally go rogue. So breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Allowing your breath to fill your entire body. Now, if I ask you the question, what's more important, breathing in or breathing out? You would say, well, Gail, that's a trick question. Both are important. And you're right. Both things are equally as important as the next. And you have to remember as much to breathe into your body and then to exhale and actually let out everything that's been stored up and trapped in your body. So the breath is a key component to the feminine state. And I'll bet if I had to put numbers on it, and if I speak to past clients, myself included, other women, if I ask them of these 8 principles, which is the one that gets included in every single thing you do, I promise you it would be breath. And it's such a small yet critical part of the feminine state, because oftentimes what happens is something goes on. Maybe you get in an argument with your partner, or maybe the kids aren't listening or misbehaving, or maybe you get a message from a friend and it's not quite nice and it kind of like grinds you the wrong way and you're like, ugh. You feel that tightness in your body, or you feel that like, energy inside of you, and then you forget to breathe. And instead what happens is you show up and you react. So instead of responding to what might have happened or what's going on or the message you received or what's going on in front of you, we react. And if you can remember in those moments, go like, all right, Gail told me that thing for the feminine state. The first part of it is to breathe. You'll automatically feel your body relax, and you'll start to just calm the fuck down, really. Like internally, you'll be like, oh my God, I can actually feel again. Because too often what happens, and a great indicator that I'm not in my feminine state, so if you want to know what isn't being in the feminine state, is, you know that feeling when your body gets all tight and rigid and it feels all like, ugh, like tight, and like the weight of the world is on your shoulders, and it's, you know, virtually impossible to breathe because you're like, ugh, holding it all together. That is not the feminine state. In fact, that is just an indication and a warning sign that your body's saying to you, like, hey, I'm talking to you. You need to breathe. Stop, take a moment and breathe. And then there's something else likely that you need to do after that. But the first thing I want you to remember is to breathe. So the second part of being fun, fabulous, flowing in the feminine is to share yourself. So oftentimes after the breath, something else comes next. Now it may be share yourself, it may be one of the other ones that we're going to talk about, but these all go in a specific order because it tends to kind of fall that way. The moment you take a breath, you connect in with your body, you realize there may be something you need to either A, tell yourself, B, communicate to another person, or C, just reflect on for self-reflection. So sharing yourself, you were born in this world to share. This is all of the experiences that are going on in your life. This is not the highlight reel. This is not just the, hey, this is all good and I'm sweet. No. Sharing yourself, which ties into the next one as well, which I can't ever help myself rolling them all into one, being vulnerable. Sharing yourself is so important that, like, when you're not, it's like you have trapped energy and feeling inside the body. It's because, like, something's come up, you had that feeling like you wanted to say something, and then instead of saying the thing, you just shoved it down, right? I'm saying to you, what you need to start practicing is sharing the thing, regardless what it is, and no matter how it might come out. And the moment you start to actually do that in your life, you will free up your space and you will start to actually breathe a little bit deeper. You'll feel some freedom in your body, and you'll no longer have the experience of having to hold it all together. Because how many of you ladies out there have ever experienced that feeling of feeling like you need to hold it all together, or like everything is inside and it's all on you? Well, part of that comes from you not having the capacity to share yourself, or not feeling like you can, or, you know, the words get stopped the moment you try and say the thing. It's like, oh, and nothing comes out. You want to practice actually getting those words out. And some of you will have heard me say this before and share, if you've either worked with me or coached with me or you've seen me in seminars, is there are times in my life that I would rather chew my arm off than share with Russell the thing I need to say. However, I do it anyways. And I don't do it for him, although he totally benefits. I do it for me. And really, when you visually get that, like, I'd rather chew, so if you're watching this on video, like, I'd rather chew my arm off than say the thing, but I say it anyways, because that gives me freedom. That gives me peace. That means I'm not holding all of these things inside this big, beautiful body of mine. I'm not trapping stuff inside and going like, oh, I'll carry that for later. No, I'm saying the thing and freeing up my space so that I can move forward and be whole and complete and perfect just the way that I am, and not be carrying excess stuff. Because who wants to carry extra stuff, right? Like, as women, we're always looking at our bodies and very conscious of what we love and what we don't. And, you know, if you could not carry stuff in your body, wouldn't you love that? Like, imagine if I said to you, by sharing all the things emotionally that are going on for you inside your body, you'd perhaps lose 10 pounds. Now, of course, there's no science behind that, but when we emotionally store stuff in our body, and there is science behind this, like, that traps in cells, and then you get bloating and all the funny things that happen inside of a woman's body, right? From a physical point of view, you get tired, you get exhausted, you get sick, life takes you out, like, that all happens. And imagine if I said to you, like, if you continue to share yourself, what you're going to do is you're going to free up space. You will have more capacity to do and think and create the things that you want to do in this world than if you hold them all in. And when you're starting to practice sharing yourself, start small. Start by saying, hey, could you grab me a drink? Or, hey, today when you said, XYZ, it really made me feel blah, right? Without any expectation that thing get resolved by, like, let's say it's in your intimate relationship. And I go to Russell, when you spoke to me the other day, it really hurt my feelings and really made me feel sad, right? If my intention of sharing that with him is for him to go, like, to get something from him and for him to soothe that hurt inside of me, that's the wrong intention to go with in when I'm talking about sharing yourself. Of course, it's awesome if he goes, no way, babe, I'm so sorry about that. That was not my intention. That feels great. But I'm not going and sharing myself with him with an expectation that he will soothe that for me. What I'm doing is I'm sharing myself because I'm freeing up space for me. So, and of course, it's great when you get the response that you like, no way, babe, like, I'm so sorry, that wasn't my intention. I hope that hasn't landed with you differently. I would never want to hurt you. That all feels great, but it's not the purpose of sharing yourself. You want to share yourself no matter what. And expectations is actually something we can go into in a completely separate podcast, because there's a whole understanding of what it means to actually hold things as an expectation. And then we talk about expectations versus preferences. But I'm not going to jump into that right now, because otherwise I'll jump down a rabbit hole and we'll end up on a completely new topic. Welcome to 101 Being a Woman. So sharing yourself is actually a gift that you're giving yourself. You're freeing up space inside of you so you're not having anything trapped inside your body, which actually gives you more capacity to breathe freely and flow inside your body. Whereas if you think about it, if I were to trap like a whole bunch of different things that I needed to say inside my body, and if I put building blocks inside of me, for example, it would be really hard to then have a free flowing breath with all those boxes inside of me. Whereas when I share myself, I actually free up space so that I can flow and breathe deeper and connect more with who I truly am at a core. Which sharing yourself leads on to, and you heard me mention it before, to being vulnerable. Vulnerability is a beautiful and powerful gift of the feminine state. And I know for some of you, when you hear the word vulnerability, you start to think oh goodness, gross, that makes me feel weak, that makes me feel pathetic, that makes me feel like I have to give a part of myself up, that makes me feel like I don't get to be who I am, or fill in the blank of what it might feel like for you, because there's been lots of examples of what women have shared with me in Fun Fab Flowing in the Feminine as to what vulnerability lives for them currently. But what I'd like you to do right now, as you're listening to what it means to be vulnerable, is I'd like you to reframe it for yourself and know that being vulnerable is actually a superpower. I'll say it again. Being vulnerable is actually your superpower. And how do I know this to be true? Because guys, when I created Fun Fab Flowing in the Feminine, just to back up a second, is when I learned about what the feminine state was and how I felt and what it felt like in my body, I didn't just accept it, right? I didn't just go, cool, I can do these 8 things. I can be in my feminine all the time. I tested the shit out of it in real life time, right? I took everything I learned and experienced and I took it into my life, and through the school of hard knocks, I tested it on myself, because I'm like, well, I'm not just going to trust this thing called the feminine state. I want to know if it works or it doesn't work. Let me just see. So I promise you why Fun Fab Flowing in the Feminine was born and how I created it and why I created it was because I don't want you to have to go through the school of hard knocks in order to experience this thing called the feminine state. I want you to have simple ways that you can implement it into your life and feel and experience your life in a different, powerful way. So I promise you I've done the hard work. I've tested the shit out of it for you, so you can be rest assured. By all means, go ahead and do your own research, but I am telling you, you can try all these things in your own life and you'll see how different life experiences happen when you utilize the tools. So being vulnerable, standing in your light and allowing yourself to be seen for who you really are, that's vulnerability. This is me. This is my heart. This is where you can pierce me. I'll say it again. This is me. This is my heart. And this is where you can pierce me. So vulnerability is the openness and our ability to actually open ourselves up, even though by opening ourselves up, we may in fact get hurt. But that is part of life. And you don't want to lock yourself down and not be vulnerable in order to not feel pain or hurt or sadness or grief. And in fact, you want to do the exact opposite and open yourself up so that you can fully experience and be vulnerable to share yourself, going back, in your life. And it allows a different part of you to emerge. So how this might look in corporate, say, like, so I used to work in a corporate office, right? And when I learned about the feminine state, if you think of it like this way, right? Like, if I'm in a boardroom with a bunch of men, right? I'm the woman in the room, and let's say there's 6 other men. So there's 7 of us in the room. If I come into that board meeting and I just be another one of the men in the boardroom, I bring nothing new to the table. When I bring my feminine state, my vulnerability, my ability to share myself, and my gifts and my superpowers, I bring something completely different to that room. And oftentimes what you see, and myself included, I used to be just like another one of the guys in the office, right? Not that I, like, not visually one of the guys, but like, you know, how I operated, until I learned this thing called the feminine state. And I went, hang on a second. I actually have a beautiful gift to bring inside of what I have to offer in any given situation. So it's not just in the office, by the way. This is in every situation in your life. And if I deny myself that, I'm denying the world a beautiful gift, and that gift is me. So your vulnerability and your ability to open yourself up and share and be who you really are unapologetically as well, guys, right? Because there are times where you might think who you are is too much or over the top or too much to handle, or there's no way. If I started sharing myself, my husband will like, whoa, what's happening here? And it's just simply because you haven't done it before, and you haven't taught him that it's actually okay for you to share yourself, to be vulnerable. And there's actually nothing he needs to do other than hold the space for you and be there as your support. But if you've never done that, he's going to go, whoa, and it might be a bit scary initially. And so there will be a process of actually just leaning into and trusting that your feminine state is exactly who you need to be in relationship. So leading on from that is purge. So purging, it's exactly like it sounds. If I were to tell you guys, go and purge your undies drawer or go and purge your clothes, you would know exactly what I was talking about. That means Gail wants me to go through my drawers. She wants me to pick out all the clothes that either A, don't fit me anymore and I'm holding on to in hopes that one day maybe they might. Nobody's ever experienced that before, right? Nobody hangs on to clothes in hopes that one day they maybe might fit. Or they're the things that you rarely wear and they kind of just sit there taking up space. Or they're so worn, if I can get those words out, they're so worn that they actually just need to be thrown out. So, you know, which version of that do you need to purge? So there is a physical purge that you can do, meaning go and purge your clothes closet, go and purge the kids' closets, all those kinds of things. But what I'm talking about here is emotionally purging that which might be stuck and held and trapped in your body. So the feminine is emotional. Purging is simply getting rid of the emotional clutter so that you can experience more freedom, more calm, more peace, and be able to breathe easier. So purging can show up in various different ways, right? So yes, it can be having a good cry. It can be yelling. It can be screaming. It can be going for a walk and purging whatever might be trapped in your body. Or if you're pissed off or angry, you know, and you know you want to go and punching bag, or you know, you just want to go dance it out, or whatever you do to purge the emotion and move it out of your body, that's purging. So, sometimes it can be the emotion. If you're somebody who has locked and loaded emotion into your body, it will actually mean that you need to emotionally purge that which is inside your body, and then give yourself the time and the space to be able to do that. So, pop on a good chick flick, and allow yourself to have a good cry versus choking it down, right? When you're sitting watching a movie and then there might be other people in the room and you're like, oh, I can't cry right now, and you may not let yourself actually fully feel the emotion. Allow yourself the permission to actually feel everything that's going on in your body, and not feel like you have to choke it down, shut it down, lock it down, but allow yourself the time and the space to be able to be with what's so. So if you're sad, be sad. If there's tears, allow the tears to flow. Like if you need to ugly cry, we all know what ugly crying looks like, right? That's when it's like all happening, right? The tears are coming, the snot's flowing, it's all happening. Allow yourself the time and the space to purge so that you can free up. And again, it's about freeing your space so that you can flow, because the feminine is all about flow, so that you can flow through your life. So purging the emotion gives you the space and freedom to actually have more capacity, again, inside the body. So, and you will be purging old hurts, old things that have gone on. Some of it will be recent, some of it might be past stuff. And how I like to look at it is, like, for me, when I go on a walk, like in nature, and this is not when I go walking with a girlfriend, but like when I just go on my own and I'm listening to my music and I'm bopping around, I would say to you that I would purge anywhere from 1 to 10 things on that walk. And what I mean by that is I allow whatever comes up in my body to move through my body, to move through, like, I'm consciously aware of it. I may not even know what it's about, by the way, guys. Like, it's not necessarily like ooh, there's that thing, it's gone. No, it's just I allow my body to just move whatever energy is stuck or stagnant inside my body. And excuse me, if you've ever seen me out walking, it's hilarious because I physically move my body a lot, right? So I might be like swinging my arms around or like stretching out, or, I don't want, by the end of my walk, I don't want any energy trapped in my body. I want to have purged whatever I needed to, whether I consciously am aware of it or not. I want to purge anything and everything I possibly can on that walk. The same when I go for a massage. Like, if I go and have a massage, literally, I'm like, how much shit can I leave on the table? Like, how much emotional stuff can I let come out of my body so I no longer have to carry it? Another form to purge, right? Like, go and have a massage and not, like, totally relax, chill. Like, don't try and consciously make stuff come out of your body, guys. I'm not saying that, but relax, enjoy the massage, but just allow whatever flows out of your body to do that, right? To purge and free up some space. So next is the feminine in relationship. And you heard me talk about the feminine state last week when I was on the podcast with Russell, when we were talking about the masculine and feminine state and how they actually operate in relationship. So the feminine energy is one of the most potent, powerful, influential, and inspiring energies in the world. She expresses herself both internally and externally. So, guys, the feminine state is a powerful gift we have in this world. And too often we're denying it in our relationship with our intimate partner. And by the way, that actually goes for same-sex relationships as well. Like, if it's two women in relationship, it's equally as important that both women in that relationship experience the feminine state. Now, obviously you hear us talk about on our last podcast that you need the masculine and feminine state duality. So just in the context of same-sex relationship, so two women in relationship, each one wants to experience the feminine state, and you want to decide who's being which state and which point in time, right? And this is either consciously or subconsciously. So, but it's important that both of you feel and have experienced what it is to be in the feminine state, because that's your optimum state and you want to know how to utilize that and when. So versus in like a heterosexual man-woman relationship, right? It's important for you as the woman to be in your feminine state. And that doesn't mean that you're never going to get caught out and be in your masculine state. And how that might look in relationship is when you're, controlling, when you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders, when you're manipulating to get things that you want, when you feel like emotionally, and you hear women say this, like, I have 3 kids, but actually I have 4, and the person they're referring to is their partner. You're emotionally carrying the weight of the relationship, and physiologically, when you are not in your feminine state as a woman, what happens is our bodies take us out. They scream and yell at us like you wouldn't believe. You may not know that's what's been going on up till now, but you will feel exhausted, drained, lacking in energy. You'll get sick. Stuff will start happening in your body, and that's your body's way of communicating, hey, and check yourself, right? Go like, hey, have I actually been in my feminine state, or have I been in a masculine state? And it's a great reference point to kind of go, okay, you know what, I've really been exhausted, which you may just be tired, right? You may just need to get more sleep. You may need to change your schedule. But if you go like, I'm tired, yes, I need to change my schedule, and I actually haven't been flowing in my feminine state. Like, I haven't been doing the principles of what Gail was talking about on that podcast, about the feminine state. I haven't been doing that in my life. And if that's the case, then it's like, let me just shift. And of course, the first thing you do to shift is to breathe into your body. Connect back with your body, because women are emotional versus men are logical. And that's not that we can't be logical, we can, but from a feminine point of view, we're emotional, and emotion exists and lives inside the body. And so your breath actually takes you right back into your body. Now, the feminine in relationship as well, some of the key words are vulnerability, openness, and surrendering. And you heard me talk about this on the last podcast. So I'm going to jump into it a bit on this one, just so that you can kind of get an idea in case you haven't listened to the last one. But definitely jump back and listen to the previous podcast on the masculine and feminine state, where Russell and I actually talk about the dance of the 2 energies, and how they actually exist in relationship, because that really gives you a frame up of how the feminine operates in relationship. But I wanted to talk about and touch on, we've already talked about vulnerability, so I'm not going to go deeper into that right now, but I wanted to talk about openness and surrendering. So as a woman in relationship, it's a key component to be able to open yourself up. And funny enough, if you think of it from a sexual point of view, the woman's job is to open for the man to enter, right? Like, we open, they enter. So in so many, and I'm not just talking about from a sexual point of view, but it's interesting when you think of it from that point of view, like, that actually mirrors what we actually need to do in order to be in our feminine state in day-to-day life, right? So it's like opening yourself up, like, actually, and if you're watching this on video, you see me, like, I'm using my hands to open up my chest, right? If you've ever seen me down the gym, I literally lay on the inverted machine, like, upside down with my arms, like, completely open. Whoop, I just hit something in the, hit something while I'm trying to open my arms. I literally lay with my arms wide open, because what I'm doing there is I'm opening up the space in my heart, right? Like, I'm opening myself up and creating that space of openness in order to remind myself of what it feels like to be completely open, completely vulnerable, completely exposed, right? Opening myself up to possibility, opening myself up to my relationship, opening myself up to my children, opening myself up to fill in the blank, right? If you're closing yourself down, you're not experiencing your life at the full capacity and the range of emotions that you could if you opened yourself up. So if you are somebody who feels really closed, or like, you know, tight in the chest, or like you feel yourself want to withdraw from people and like take yourself away, or like even energetically you do that whether you're in a group or not, allow yourself the space to practice being open and opening yourself up to other people. It's a beautiful gift when you allow yourself to open your heart and be with people just as you are. No filter, just raw, real, and be who you are in any given moment. It really creates a totally different space, and it creates a new level of connectedness in your intimate relationship and in your relationship with other people. So the feminine in relationship, and this is more specifically the intimate relationship, your feminine state has a beautiful grace and elegance and power inside of the intimate relationship. And from a sexual point of view, if you're in your feminine state whilst you're making love to your partner, the experience of that is 10,000 times more than what you're experiencing it right now if you're in the wrong emotional state. So if you can open yourself up, be vulnerable, and breathe, and have shared yourself, and like allow yourself to drop in, because it really is dropping out of your head into your body, from a sexual intimacy point of view, your relationship will totally transform. Your sexual relationship will transform. You will experience orgasm at a whole new level. And yes, rest assured, I will do an entire podcast on sexual intimacy, because I know I've got a few people going like, when are you going to talk about sexual intimacy? Because it is a topic that people either A, want to know more about but don't want to ask the question, or B, just go like, yeah, like let's deep dive into that, because they want to know more. And so the feminine state is part of that. So if you can practice the principles of the feminine state in your life, your sexual intimacy will transform by being in the right emotional state. And, you know, like if you're unsure of, am I in the right state or am I not in the right state, bring yourself back present to your body. Breathe into your body. Connect with the moment. You know, because oftentimes for women as well, because our brains never switch off. In fact, the only time a woman's brain switches off is about 30 seconds to maybe 5 minutes. That's me being very generous, post-orgasm. That is it. That is all. That is only the time that we have like quiet brain. Otherwise, there's a million and one things going on all the time. So how you can bring yourself back present into your body is, you know, if you are being intimate with your partner, is just actually bring your hands and touch them, or bring awareness to the feeling of their skin, like touching their skin with your hands, right? Like, or touching various different parts of their body. And that in itself will allow you to reconnect into your body and back into your feminine state. So the next principle of Fun, Fabulous, Flowing in the Feminine is filling your cup. And it is exactly as it sounds. Filling your cup first makes you more available to do everything else that you have to do in your life. Taking time to fill your cup is so important, right? So what are the things that you do on a regular, daily, weekly, monthly basis to fill your cup, fill you up, right? And I often say to people, like, these can't all involve other people. Like, they just cannot. Because if you're reliant on another person, place, or thing in order to fill your cup, you know, you're putting yourself under, like, you're putting limitations on your ability to actually like fill yourself up and recalibrate yourself emotionally. So filling your cup is, what are the things that you do to like that just make you go like, oh my goodness, that was fantastic. That was brilliant. Like I went for that walk, or I went to the gym, or I did yoga. I lit a candle. I had a bath. I had a shower on my own. So if you're a parent of little kids with little kids, they often are in your shower. Like, but showering on my own, like after like having little kids, I'm like, oh man, that's just like a whole other kettle of fish. Like, it's like, yes, that is just like a brilliant experience, and it totally emotionally regulates me, and I love it. And then there was a woman on Fun Fab. She was in one of my programs, and she said to me, best thing ever, by the way, if you haven't actually done this, have a go. She has in the dark showers. So rather than having the lights on, she'll turn off all the lights in the bathroom and have a shower. She may light a candle, but otherwise she just allows herself to be in total darkness and really just connect in with herself in the water, and let whatever the day has been wash over her. And I tell you what, I had to go because I'm like, cool, this sounds exciting. Let me go and see what this is like, right? Like showering in the dark, giddy up, right? And it is brilliant. It is like a beautiful gift you can give yourself. So, you know, like, what are the things that you like to do? Is it reading a book? Is it going for a walk? Is it, you know, motorcycle riding? Is it dancing? Is it listening to music? You know, there's like a massive list that we've gone through over the years with all the courses we've done. We've created a list of all of the things women do and have done in order to fill their cup. So I do have those lists, which is pretty cool when you actually see the full list. Because you're just like, whoa, some of these things I've never done. And try out new things. There's, you know, go try something that you go like, oh, like I've always wanted to do dance classes, or I've always wanted to sing, or I don't know, whatever the thing is that you go like, I've always wanted to do this thing. Go and have a go. See if it actually fills your cup. See if it's something you enjoy that actually like allows you to just feel like you've taken care of you for a moment. Next is feminine sparkle. So slightly different to filling your cup, although you'll see how the two kind of flow together. So taking time to do the things that make you feel sparkly. So as a woman, what are the things that you do that make you feel fabulous and sparkly? So you might be somebody that likes to go and get your nails done. You might like to get your lashes done. You might like to get your waxings done. You might like to go for a massage. You might like to go and have a facial. There's loads of different things that we do to feel sparkly. And how I like to explain this and describe this is like, so I can be in like the worst mood. And I've experienced this in life as well, where I'm in like a shit of a mood, and Russell's noticed it as well. And he's like, whoa, okay. And then I go out and I get my waxings done. And it's like I completely transform. Like a new person emerges. And it's not like it's all visual. Like some places we get waxed are not visual to the outer world. Some places are, but others are not. But I feel emotionally different when I go and do those things that make me feel sparkly. And some of those is like getting, like I love to get my eyelashes tinted and my eyebrows tinted and waxed and all of the things, right? But when I go and have and take that time for myself, one, it fills my cup, and two, it makes me feel sparkly again. I feel sparkly and woman again. You know, and feminine sparkle can also be like, what are you wearing? Are you wearing things that make you feel like, oh my God, I feel like $1 million? Or do you go like, ugh, I feel drab and like, ugh, bloated and, you know, gross, and just, you know, you're just putting it on for the sake of covering up your nakedness. So that's not a good thing. If you don't love the things that you wear and you don't feel fabulous in them, I'd invite you to question whether you need to keep them in your cupboard. Because like, I know for myself, like I'm just looking at my cupboard right now as we're talking about this, going like, I wonder what things in there I don't love. I buy things and keep things in my cupboard that I know when I put on, I feel fabulous. And that's everything from what I wear to the gym, to what I put on when I'm just doing my thing around the house, to dressing up in jeans, to, you know, what I'm going to wear on a podcast, for example. Like, I want to know that I feel good. And if I don't feel good, because, you know, there's some days where you put on an outfit, and you guys will all know what I'm talking about. There's days where you put on an outfit and you're like, oh, yeah, that's not working for me today. So just change the outfit. You don't have to get rid of it all. Just change the outfit. In fact, I did that today, funny enough. I put on an outfit, which in my mind, I thought, yeah, I'm going to wear that on the podcast today. And I'm like, yeah, nah, I'm not feeling it. I'm not vibing with it. It's not doing it for me. So I'm not just going to keep it on for the sake of I've already put it on. I took it off and changed into something, went, yeah, you know, I can roll with that. So it's okay to feel and see how are your clothes making you feel? Do they make you feel sparkly? And what are the things that you'd like to do that make you feel sparkly? Is it getting your nails done? Like, because I know a lot of women love to get their nails done. I'm not a nails person myself. I think that's from years of playing piano. Like, I just always had to have my nails short, so like it just never became a thing. I think it's beautiful and I love it. I love when women get their nails done. I'm always intrigued and fascinated by it all, but it's not my thing. But know that whatever your thing is, do that. And, you know, put on a dress. See how you feel differently when you put on a dress, and allow yourself to twirl around. See how your energy shifts and changes. You know, I often talk about, when we talk about feminine sparkle, we're like, take your pants off. Like, legit, take your pants off and see how much freer you feel and how much sparklier you feel. Like, I love the episode in Grey's Anatomy where Callie's down. If you're not a Grey's Anatomy fan, you'll have no idea what I'm talking about, but you'll get the essence of it anyways. She's downstairs in the basement of the hospital, and she literally takes off her pants. She's listening to music and dancing around. Like, dance in your underwear. Do what makes you feel sparkly. She feels fantastic when she does that. And like, I love dancing. So like, do the things that make you feel fabulous and sparkly, and repeat. Keep doing them. Don't stop doing them. Do them on a more regular basis. Do them more frequently. You know, turn the music on. Allow yourself to dance through it. Music is very powerful, by the way. Totally side note. Music has the ability to change how you're feeling, what you're experiencing, and how things are happening in your life. Like, I use music often as a form of state change or changing. Like, if I'm in like a shitty mood, if I put on music, it changes how I be. Like, when I go for my walk, I listen to music, and, you know, sometimes you'll see me like mad pushing forward to find the song that kind of like vibes with me on that day. And some days I love some of my music, and other days I'm like, ugh, this is not doing it for me, right? But allow yourself to sparkle and allow whatever needs to move through to just move out of your body as you're feeling sparkly. So, what are the things in life that make you feel sparkly? And number 8 is just be, right? Just be. Be present to who you are. Be present and feel in life. Be present to, wow, man, I haven't taken a minute for me. Just be. Coming home to yourself is like coming home and getting a big hug from your mom. Like, one of those big giant hugs that just like fills your soul, right? So maybe it's your mom, maybe it's your partner, maybe it's somebody in life, but those people that give those really great hugs. Allowing yourself to just be is like coming home and getting one of those big giant heart hugs that just fills your heart, your body, and your mind and your soul. Allowing you to be grounded and earthed and simply be. So just be is like come home to nature, right? Mother Earth, nature, Mother Earth, Father Time, Mother Earth. Come home to nature and allow yourself to be present. Do the things that you love in nature that allow you to feel grounded, centered, earth, allow you to breathe a little bit deeper and connect. I found a lot of healing and a lot of beauty in breath work these days. It's really allowed me to feel grounded and earthed and present into my body, and really just allowed me to just be. And the same when I go for walks out in nature, I notice myself, I feel grounded and earthed. Another thing that I love that really brings me back home and present and grounded in self is water. So be it the ocean or lakes or Niagara Falls. I love going to Niagara Falls. That's a little side note. I love being around water. And it doesn't even have to be it doesn't have to be spectacular views of water, right? Like it can be any body of water, be it a creek or a lake or the ocean or the falls or a river, whatever it is. Being around water for me just brings me back present and home. So, what are the things that you do or you can do that will have you feel grounded and earthed and present to who you are? And, some of you are going into winter. It's springtime in Canada at the moment. So if you're in a different part of the world, you may be going into winter. So maybe don't do this at this time of year, although you still can. Take your shoes off and your socks and go and allow your feet to plant themselves on the earth. And just stand there and be present and allow yourself to feel grounded and earthed. It's called earthing. And it really allows you to become present to self and to just take a moment to just be. Nothing to do, nothing to solve, nothing to deal with. Just allow yourself a moment to be present and be wherever you're at. And I think sometimes we need a gentle or a swift kick up the ass reminder that it's okay to be wherever you are. And there is nothing you need to do or change right now. You can actually just accept where you're at. Even if where you're at right now is pissed off, angry, agitated, carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders, feeling sad, disconnected, like you've withdrawn, feeling like life is hopeless, euphoric, happy, elated, you're like, whatever you're feeling right now, whatever the thoughts are in your mind that you don't share with the world, all of those are okay. And if you can allow and accept yourself and give yourself a moment to just be, you then have the power to decide if you want to change how you be in the next moment. But before you want to change it and stop feeling what you may be feeling right now, give yourself the gift of allowing yourself to be with where you're at, and know that it's actually okay, that you're okay, that you are loved, you are safe, you are taken care of, and this too shall pass. So that is the 8 principles of being fun, fabulous, and flowing in the feminine. So I'm going to just quickly run through the 8 of them again. So remember, it's to breathe, to share yourself, to be vulnerable, to purge, to be the feminine in your intimate relationship, to fill your cup, to feel the feminine sparkle, and then just allow yourself to be. And at any given point in time during your day or your week or your month, or when you're just going about doing what you do, just remind yourself that like any one of these principles has the power to completely transform how you're feeling in any given moment. And then some of the times one will flow on to the next, because even when you heard me talking, you heard like one flows into the next and the next and the next. And it really is that kind of a flow on effect, that the moment you stop and breathe and take a moment, the next possible scenario or what you need to do next will follow. So remember to be fun, fabulous, flowing in the feminine. I love sharing this with you. If you would like a copy of the 8 principles of being fun, fabulous, flowing in the feminine, drop me a DM on our Instagram, which is at It's Infinite and Co. And I will shoot that out to you. And I look forward to speaking with you guys on our next podcast. Have the best day and be your fabulous, flowing, fun self, and enjoy your feminine state.